Emily was 17, living in a quiet little town with her mom. She wasn't the type to believe in ghosts or demons. Her world was ruled by logic and poetry, not fear and superstition. If I can't touch it, it doesn't exist, she used to say with a smirk. One autumn evening, her mom had to leave unexpectedly to handle a family emergency. Emily stayed home alone. No big deal, it wasn't the first time. But that night, just as the wind howled outside, the lights went out. 2. Strange elements begin. Emily grabbed a candle and wrapped herself in an old blanket. The flickering flame gave her some comfort until she noticed deep claw marks scratched across the hallway wall. They hadn't been there before. Then, on the wooden floor near her desk, she saw something even worse, a pentagram drawn in what looked exactly like blood. She reached for a rag to wipe it off when a voice whispered from the darkness, "Don't look behind you." Emily froze. It wasn't her imagination. That voice was real. 3. Doubt and fear. "It's just my mind playing tricks," she whispered to herself, clutching the candle tighter, but the air around her was cold now, freezing. Her breath was visible. Something was terribly wrong. The shadows in the room, they weren't still. They were breathing. Then she heard it again, closer this time, right behind her ear. "Don't look behind you." Tears welled in her eyes. 4. Shocking event. She sat trembling in the corner of her room, the candle her only shield. She dared not turn her head, but she felt it, a slow, icy breath on her neck. She squeezed her eyes shut. She couldn't move, couldn't scream. And then she opened her eyes just enough to see the wall across from her. There was a shadow, a tall, faceless entity with long, razor-like fingers and glowing red eyes. It moved slowly, almost gliding, like it didn't belong to this world. Then came the sound of footsteps, but not on the floor, on the walls. Emily's breathing turned shallow. The footsteps were soft, slow, and wet, like bare feet dragging across the wall. They circled her, first above, then beside her. But no matter how close they came, she didn't dare turn around. "Don't look, don't look, don't look," she repeated over and over in her mind like a prayer. The candlelight flickered violently, casting twisted shadows on the wall, and then a whisper, directly in her ear. "You've already seen me." She screamed, and the candle blew out instantly. Now, the only light was the glowing red eyes behind her. Her body trembled, frozen. The sound of claws scraping the wooden floor grew louder and louder. And then, silence. Emily slowly reached into her pocket and pulled out her phone, trembling fingers trying to unlock it. But as the screen lit up, she saw it. In the reflection, a tall, hunched figure stood just inches behind her, arms stretching unnaturally long, fingers twitching, face empty. Except for those 2 glowing red dots staring directly into her soul. She dropped the phone. It hit the floor with a sharp crack, screen shattering. Then, something gently touched her shoulder. She couldn't breathe. She couldn't scream. She could only cry. And then, a low, deep growl rumbled through the room. "You looked." The growl echoed through the room, vibrating the floor beneath her. Emily didn't move. She couldn't. A long, cold hand slowly slid down from her shoulder to her arm. Its touch was wrong, like ice wrapped in static. It didn't feel like skin. It felt like absence. Suddenly, the whisper returned. But this time, it wasn't just behind her. It was inside her head. "You invited me when you read the symbol." Her eyes widened. The pentagram, the one on the floor. She had spoken aloud the strange letters drawn around it earlier, thinking it was just Latin or something ancient, like in one of her poetry books. But it wasn't Latin. It was a summoning. The walls began to pulse like something was breathing through them. The pentagram on the floor started glowing red, casting demonic shadows across the room. The air turned heavy, thick. Emily's nose began to bleed. She curled into a ball, covering her ears, sobbing. "Stop, please. Whatever you are, stop." But the voice only laughed. It was no longer human. "You looked. You spoke. You belong." The floor beneath her began to crack open as if rotting from the inside. Black veins spread out from the pentagram. The wood hissed as if burning. But there was no fire. The room was warping, melting, twisting into something that didn't belong in this world. Emily crawled backward toward the door, desperate to escape. She reached for the doorknob, but it wasn't there anymore. The door was gone. Emily backed away from the vanished door, gasping for air. The walls were bleeding now. Thick black liquid seeped from the corners, forming symbols she didn't understand. The sigil on the floor pulsed like a heartbeat. She wasn't in her room anymore. She was somewhere else. The furniture had melted into the floor and the ceiling twisted above her like a living thing. Stretching, pulsing, contracting. Then she heard it again. But not a voice. Laughter. Dozens of voices. Whispering. Laughing. Crying. Screaming. All layered on top of each other in a horrifying chorus of madness. She fell to her knees, covering her ears, but it was no use. I only looked. She kept repeating, her voice barely audible. Then it stepped into view. The entity. No longer a shadow. Now, fully visible. Tall, bone-thin, no face. Just smooth, stretched flesh where eyes and a mouth should be. Its fingers scraped the floor as it walked. It tilted its head, and then, "You gave me form." The voice wasn't from its mouth. It came from the room itself. Emily realized the horrible truth. It didn't exist before. She had created it. By noticing it, by fearing it, by giving it shape. This thing was born from her attention. Emily stared at the creature, this faceless, hollow imitation of fear, standing just a few feet away. The walls began to close in, not metaphorically, literally. They bent inward, breathing, warping like lungs made of wood and flesh. She turned toward the mirror near the closet, one of the few things still intact. What she saw made her blood freeze. The reflection didn't match. In the mirror, she wasn't crouched and trembling. She was standing, still, eyes black, smiling. And behind her, the entity was gone. But she could feel it, its breath still on her neck. Then she understood. It was inside her now. "You gave me shape," the voice said again. "Now give me your skin." She screamed. Her hands clawed at her face involuntarily, as if they no longer belonged to her. The mirror shattered, and then she felt it, the skin on her back splitting, like something was trying to crawl out. Emily collapsed to the floor, convulsing as her back tore open in slow, wet cracks. But there was no blood. Instead, dark mist poured out of her spine, thick, oily smoke that coiled like a living thing, forming into another version of her. Identical face, same clothes, same terrified expression. But this Emily smiled. The creature stepped back into the room, but now it looked like her. The real Emily tried to crawl away, but her arms weren't moving anymore. They had turned black. Her skin was stiff, like wood. Then came the final whisper, right against her ear. "You looked. Now, they'll look at you." Her eyes widened just before they turned glass-like, frozen, trapped, like a porcelain doll left behind. The next morning, her mother came home. She found the room exactly as she left it, clean, quiet, except for Emily. She was sitting upright on the floor, eyes wide open, not blinking, not breathing, just staring at the wall. She didn't respond, didn't move, didn't scream. But later that night, her mom swore she heard her daughter whisper something from her bedroom. "Don't look behind you." She turned around instinctively, and that was the last thing she ever did.